Okay, James and Ryan, how you going?
Good, thank you. How you going?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Really
Yep.
good. Thanks for coming on. I guess we should probably start just by explaining what we're doing and why why you're on the show and the new podcast you're going to be doing, right? So I think leading into Bigs, I thought to myself, I mean, I always thought that you two guys would make an awesome podcast. I was thinking I would love it if James and Ryan started their own podcast. And I thought to myself, well, I might try and organize it and use it as a way to help fund money for you guys to go to Bigs. So, I mean, obviously, this episode's going to be going out to everyone like a normal podcast, but I've set up a Patreon and I'm going to let you guys take over and record three podcasts of your own that people can download and purchase for a fee, and all that money goes towards to you guys to use to help you go to Bigs.
Yeah,
Yeah, mate. Firstly, Pato, thanks so much for allowing us to share the journey to Bigs on your platform, and yeah, for the financial support from the Patreon members. It means so much, and it's always tough to get over to Tennessee and race. It's a huge cost. We're both self-funded, so any support is hugely appreciated. And I was thinking if we can open up our worlds and let them see behind the scenes and in the lead up to Bigs, it's a pretty cool win-win for everyone involved.
Yeah, and unreal. Yeah, so like I said, this is episode one, which will be free, and the other three episodes will be on my Backyard Ultra podcast Patreon page to purchase and download. So, and just so the listeners know, I won't be on those other three episodes. It will be you two, and then you can have guests. You can do it however you like. But how's all the planning for the podcast going anyway?
Yeah, so it's Jimmy B and White Kenyan. And as you say, firstly, it's about our journey to Big's Backyard Ultra. So the good, the bad, and the ugly, how we train, how we prepare, nutrition, mindset, planning, strategy, the course, everything. So we'll have one in September next month, one in October before we leave, and then a post-race debrief session. And on Patreon, we can keep all the members up to date in the chat, upload videos, training tips, and if it all works out, we could even do a post-race video from the fire pit there at Biggs,
Yeah.
as long as I'm not taken away in a stretcher bed to hospital again.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, we have definitely talked about it a few times out on some of our missions to do a podcast. So yeah, thanks for, I guess, starting the journey for us. So we could probably, look at continuing it on after this as well. So yeah, it's a great opportunity. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So I think that most people in the backyard ultra world would know who both of you are, and some of them, most of them would probably know that you're good friends. But how did the friendship between the two of you begin, Ryan?
It began at the Dead Cow Gully, I guess. So that was when we first kind of met, when we both raced each other, and it was down to like me and James, and I kind of didn't really get time to talk to him throughout that race, like earlier on in the race, as like he was kind of running different pace kind of thing, and I guess the conversation started as it got down to us that like we ended up running a lap together and that, and in small world he knew me mate Grant, so that's kind of how that conversation started, and then we just from there I guess we had a bit of a chat on a couple of those laps. That race kind of ended, and then I guess the next race after that we kind of reached out and spent a bit more time with each other, and I guess from there it slowly kept growing as we evolved and become good mates, and then started doing training missions and things like that. So that's where it started, I guess, on the first backyard at Dead Cow Gully.
Yeah, I think that the Clint Eastwood run definitely, where you did the 60 yards, that one definitely would have been fun. Yeah, James.
Yeah, there's the two races at Clint Eastwood, that one and then the one where we did 72.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've obviously spent a lot of time out there together because I think both of them we were running for sort of 20 hours on our own, more than that. So yeah, if you counted up all the hours, I think I tried before, it's well over 160 hours of backyard ultras that Ryan and I have run together. And
Yeah, the two
yeah,
Clint Eastwood definitely cemented that and grew the friendship for it's just such a long period of time of suffering out there together. So
yeah, the friendships forged in the fire of all these races, and even when it goes wrong for one of us, the other one's there, and Yeah, it's a amazing friendship that you forge with sort of a lot of the runners out there in backyard ultras.
Yeah. On the subject of Clint Eastwood, it was just last weekend that you both ran there. I haven't actually heard much about what happened to either of you last weekend. So, do you want to give a brief rundown of what happened last
Well,
weekend?
I wasn't there, so I'll hand it over to Ryan.
Okay.
I didn't run.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I would have convinced him to come with me again if, just it worked out differently. But yeah, I went on my own. I was kind of always just using it as a training run, towards bigs, regardless. I didn't think it was going to go too big. Like I had talked to Nachi and that, who kind of spent a bit of time with us at the last Dead Cow Gully, and she was trying to convince me to go, and I was still humming and hawing whether I was going to do it, whether it'd be right for bigs and stuff, because it's I know it's always close, and I know you still need to put in big blocks, but I thought I'd anyway. I'd show up and give it a go, and just go through the motions and see how far it did go. But yeah, for me, unfortunately, I was about, I don't know, would have been 8, 9 hours in, and just started getting real bad fevers. Caught a bit of I don't know what it was really. I guess a bug, virus, whatever. I've been working with a guy that have been sick all week, and heaps of people I know been sick a lot. Some of the kids get snotty noses at your training in the gym, but who knows where I got it from. But I started to feel getting real cold shakes, and I was just like, every time I come back into the gazebo, I had the heater cranking, and I'd just be like full jumpers. I always feel the cold anyway, but I was full rugged up, and I was just like jackhammer, like shaking even under the doonas, and I could feel how hot it was in the gazebo, but I was still freezing. And then, and then I'd get the hot flushes. And then I thought, keep persevering, went back out on the course each lap, and even out in the laps, even rugged up, I was still just feeling that cold, just dense in your bones. And I'm like, man, something's not right here. So as I was going back each lap from there, and I just kind of said to Shannon and that was crewing me, like, look, I think I'll probably just aim towards just doing the 100K. Like I thought, because it was only a training run, it really, in my eyes, it wasn't really worth just, breaking myself down for the sake of it, just to try to be the winner or try to go as far as possible when I knew Clint Biggs was coming up so close.
Yeah.
Like it was a hard call for me, because I just know, like, that's the least amount of laps I've ever done in any backyard ultra. So like I really didn't want to stop, but I also didn't really want to do anything stupid. So I think for me, just once I just let go of the ego and just realized, like, what, who cares what happened, what everyone else thinks, I just thought I got to make the right choice for myself. So I just got to 100K, and then I thought, nothing changed. I was just still just ridiculously fevering and cold, and just I could tell I was just not good. And I thought, I'll do one more for good luck, just to see if it, does by miracle change. And it didn't really. So I just did the 16 laps and just packed up my stuff and drove home.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you made. It sounds like you made the right decision. It sounds like you did a really good job where you're feeling so bad. But hopefully that means like you've. I mean, being sick
Well,
now means you're not going to get sick for bigs.
yeah, well, it just allowed me to recover quickly. Like, even when I got home, like, that's where I knew, like, I know myself, and I knew there was, I was definitely a little, it'd come down with something, because even when I got home, like, I was, apart from, I guess being awake all that night and still a bit tired, like, I could barely move off the couch for 2 days. Like, I got home on the Saturday morning around 5 a.m. or whatever it was, and I didn't move to, like, Saturday, Sunday was just on the couch, like, could hardly do anything, and that's not like me. And even Sunday did nothing, and Monday went back to work, but I was still just so flat, did no gym classes or anything. It wasn't till about Tuesday that I opened the gym again and just started feeling a bit normal, but I was still pretty flat. And it's only really now I've been hanging for the weekend, because I've been working all week, and just, the gym was back open and just starting to recover now. So, and I feel good now again. Everything's back on track. So allowed me to heal quicker, I guess. So
Yeah, sure. So that run at Clint Eastwood in 2023, James, like, how did that shape the course of your running journey? That would have changed everything, yeah?
Yeah, can I just say, Pato, that Clint Eastwood course, it's below the floodline. So when it rains there, it turns into an absolute bog. Like, some of the paths are literally just rivers.
Yeah.
And so just for Nachi and Sariel, amazing performances out there. I think they're obviously in very good shape, because that when it's hot out there is brutally hot. When it's cold, it's freezing, and when it's wet, it's like a river. So what they
Yeah.
would have had to put up with and get to what they did, and for Nachi to take that out, yeah, great results. So
Yeah.
yeah, for me back then, I remember because we got to the point where Ryan and I were on our own, and I think we were feeling like, oh God, how are we going to end this? We just sort of keep going, and we're at loop 56, and Alan came over to my tent and said, he literally said, "Oh, I've been on the phone to Laz,
Yeah.
and you can do 4 more loops, and you qualify for bigs. You'll be in." And honestly, I didn't really know much about the qualifying. I didn't really know much about bigs. I knew it was 2 months later. So I was just lying there thinking, you're obviously in a lot of pain at 56. I was thinking, there's no way I don't even want to do one of these ever again.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to bigs. Definitely don't want to do one in America in 2 months.
Yeah.
And so it gave Ryan and I a nice out. We got on the next loop and we had the chat, and it's like, this will be great. We can just get to 60. So that's 4 to go, and we can end it together. And you're like, I'll qualify for bigs. Ryan was already going. So yeah, that's how that one ended. And I took a few days from that race and then decided, look, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to go to bigs, to be over there. And yeah, that was definitely, the way it shaped my backyard ultra career, it was the catalyst for everything from there. So yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. So, I mean, both of you obviously ran at Bigs 2 years ago. And there's actually a few runners that I can think of who were there 2 years ago and have done enough to qualify this time but aren't going back for whatever reason. So, what's the big motivation for you to go back, James?
So yeah, I said it's once in a lifetime, and now I get a second go at it. I just think it's such an iconic event. I want to be a part of it if I get the chance. This would definitely be the last time that I get the chance to go, just in terms of my body, age, life.
Yeah.
And I think when you get to bigs and it's the first time, I don't think you can quite understand what you're in for.
Yeah.
The challenge that it is unique. It's 11 hours of trail running with just under 1,800 meters of vert, and then it's 13 hours of road running, and then again and again and again. And I remember talking to Ryan at about 10 hours in, and just saying to him, man, I don't think I was ready for this. Like, my legs are feeling so far gone already.
Yeah.
And you've really got to be a vert beast. And I think I'm just excited to go back knowing full well what the challenge is and to prepare specifically for it. So it's a challenge that I just can't let go.
Yeah, sure. And what about you, Ryan? What's the big motivation for you going back?
Yeah, just because I guess with what happened to me last time I was there, so I just want to redeem that and just try to get a better performance. And like I've always been for the last, doesn't matter what a backyard ultra I've been doing, I've been trying to chase towards cracking that 100 for a long time. So that's that'd be my primary first stop, just getting to there and above. And regardless, I know like James says, the course is one of the hardest ones you can kind of get. I guess that there's obviously harder here and there, but that's one up there definitely with tough course with the technical terrain and yeah, just want the experience. Like, I'm pretty similar to James. Like, I don't know how many times I'll be traveling back and forth over to there. This could possibly be my last time over there. Like, I know I'll be doing still more events to come. Like, who knows what the journey will do with that, but I might not ever go there again. So why I've qualified and I'm in there, I want to have a good crack at it. So I don't want to, finish my journey and go, I wish I did go back. Like, I hummed and hard doing the King of the Hill instead, like with the money and what, going for that. But this is more of a unique thing with the World Championship and against some of the best athletes in the backyard ultra world. So basically just want to redeem myself and, see how far I can push into it and if you do pull off a miracle too, it also gives you, you get that entry into the Barclay, which is always something that I've always wanted to do. So I'll be hassling Laz again anyway, even whatever happens out there. Just, yeah, just looking forward to the opportunity, really, Pato, and just, this time just getting a bit more savage for it. So, and hopefully everything, works out well.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I was going to ask you about the Barclay because I've heard you before, Ryan, mention that is a race, like that's your dream. Is that your dream race, running the Barclay marathons?
Yeah, well, that's always been ever since I very first looked into ultras and started doing a bit of running and that. Like, as everyone, you see the docos on YouTube, and they were kind of the first little, I guess, imprint in the mind of that kind of style of running, and that's kind of what I like, really. Like, that's why I like the down unders so much. I kind of love the terrain, being out in the wilderness, I guess, and that's like the true test, I guess, when you're not really getting looked after, so to speak. And I know, it's way out of my element. I've never done anything like that, but I just love the opportunity to give it a go. So,
Yeah. James, does the Barclay appeal to you?
In short, no. I just can't imagine the navigation. So yeah, for me, that I'm not interested at all in Barclay. I like to watch it, but I definitely follow along. But yeah, not for me, thanks.
Yeah, it sounds like like I love all those docos on YouTube as well, but it sounds like hell just like looking around for these books in the woods. Yeah, it sounds
oh,
pretty
yeah,
hard.
you're going around in circles, backwards, going realise, yeah, it'd definitely be an eye opener. But I just would like the unique experience to just give it a go, to say that I've had a go at it. So, but
Yeah,
who knows? The universe always redirects you in different ways. So who knows?
yeah. So both of you ran your PBs at the Sat Champs last year, which is the result that qualified you both for bigs this year. And I was there doing the live stream, and it was such a great race to be at. But I'd really like to hear a breakdown of that race from both of you. James, you did 82 yards. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I turned up to Perth with a cold, and I was coughing, spluttering. I think at one point on the course, I was coughing off to the side, and Aaron Young was just like, "Can you die quietly, please?" And I really thought I felt so much pressure, like running for Australia and the quality of the team. And if it was any other backyard ultra, I definitely would have pulled out.
Mm.
So I we went into the first night, and yeah, it started at about, I think it was 8 o'clock Perth time. So we were running into the night, which is not a usual thing for a backyard ultra. And my body in its state just wanted to go to sleep. And that first night was horrendous. I think there was one point I was just lying in my chair, and Glenn, my crew, was looking at me just thinking, oh my God, this isn't going to go past 12 hours for us.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember it, to be honest. Like, it's just a blur of going through the 30s and losing Nachi and another some other runners a bit early, and then just, I think the highlight for me was getting those guys to the mid 70s.
Yeah.
So Aaron, at that point,
Dan
yeah, Dan, Michael Belmont running with him,
Yeah.
and then our good friend Jashi sort of coming onto the scene as well.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. I know mentally when I got to 80, I just felt like I had that sort of weak thought of, look, that's enough for me. I'm happy with 80. And my crew ended up getting me out to 82. And then, Tim and I sort of ended it on that loop. But look, I look back on it and I wish I'd gone further. You always wish that, when you get those opportunities, you take them and push further, because now you get to the start of a backyard and the PB is 82, and that's a long way.
Yeah.
So you've got a long way to go when you're starting from zero. So it was it was an amazing to be a part of. Sean, the race director, it was an incredible community over there, and yeah, I want to say I enjoyed every second, but some of that course, was definitely tough. the hallucinations and the dreams in that last night were incredible.
Yeah.
But I look back on it, it's fond memory, and I definitely feel like, given I was so sick leading into it, I feel like I can definitely go further.
Yeah, for sure. And I did get the impression that it was the sleep deprivation that got you in the end.
Well, I guess we were coming into a morning, so
Yeah.
82 hours was almost first light, or it might have been an hour later. So it was starting to already feel like you were getting the warmth of the sun.
Mm.
And I got caught up with Tim, and we we decided to run together. He had his lap timing going on his watch, and the loop before in the dark, I think I've heard him say now, he was falling asleep and waking up.
Mm.
And what was happening from Ryan and I's perspective is that Tim would drop back a few hundred meters, and then suddenly he would run and sprint to catch up, and he'd run past us.
Right.
And we're like, mate, what is going on? Yeah, we're like, what, are you okay? And he came out on that first lap in the morning, and he was in a world of pain, or he's in a dream state, really.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to stay with him, because we were running out on pathways on a road, and it's like, man, I don't want him to run out on the road. I hope everything's safe. So yeah, I stayed with him, and then he didn't take his glasses on the loop, and as soon as we hit the trail, he fell. And so I said, look, just stay behind me and just watch my feet, and we'll run. And look, we ended up just running out of time. As I said, mentally, I was logged out, and I was very happy to finish with Tim on 82. And that's how that one ended for me.
Yeah, it was an epic performance. And Ryan, the way you kept going and going till Australia reached second overall spot, I mean, that was something else. And I think that was everyone there's like highlight of the race, was seeing you just battle it out to help Australia reach that second spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people like saw that. Like, to me, it didn't really feel like that too much. It just felt like another race, like another, like, as in pushing myself. Like, I know there was that one spot where I only just made it back in time, and I was sitting on the ground, and that, I guess to everyone else's eyes, it just looked like, oh, he's literally broken, and it's the last little bit he's got. But it really wasn't like that for me. That, like, don't get me wrong, I'm broken. You run for that long, you're cooked regardless, and I was sleep deprived and all that kind of stuff. But it was more just because I was, I got sleep deprived as you get. And I remember I just got sidetracked out on that lap, and I was just dawdling. And I remember looking down and going, man, am I even going to make it back? What the hell? And then I'd just start running again, like sprinting, just trying to catch back up time. And then I'd all of a sudden be daydreaming again. And I'm realizing, and then it wasn't until I got to that last little bit, I realized, holy hell, I'm pushing to even make it back. Yeah. And then had to just sprint, and like I only, just made it back as I pushed for that last little bit. And then, come in and had that minute rest. And I remember, James come over and was in my ear. And, like, I was always going back out. And that was a good little spark that, I guess that he gave me as well, to just remind myself to keep pushing. And then, I talked to Phil out there, and I guess we run at different pace and we're different. So I wasn't necessarily running with him the whole time. I just kind of agreed with him. I said, look, I'll get Australia to that second place. And then I said, I'm out. And that was, I just had enough by that point. I was just, a bit cooked and delirious. And like James said too, you wish you didn't as soon as I stopped, I wish I'd just persevered a few more to get to that 100, as I was so close. And it's just such a big climb to get back up those numbers that you always regret pulling out at a certain time, I guess. But, it's, I guess with the journey that I've had, it's always, each one provides something. And, that race, I look back on it, it was great. Like, I met some great people there. That was, like I said, you met Jashy and, Michael Bellman, all other runners that I hadn't really spent time with, got to run with those guys and have chats. I remember there was a stint throughout, can't remember what day it was, but there was about a group of us, like about 6 or 7 of us, all just running together at night. I'd be music playing in the back with me little speaker, and we're all just pumping the tunes and just running and chatting together. Heaps of cool moments like that, and just witnessing, for me, I love just seeing other people pushing their limits. I don't care if you've done 10 laps or 15 laps, you like just seeing them, people suffering and keep another lap and pushing. Like, I remember looking at Jashy and, what's the other, Dan, like you said, they were hunched over, looked like they were dead, like, and they were just continually going, like how's he still going? Like, he looked cooked like hours ago, and I guess it's the same thing people see with me, like, he's finished and then you keep going. So I guess it's inspirational for me and for everyone to see people doing that. And that's what it's about for me, just pushing against my own limits, to a degree, like, and everyone knows that's what I stand for. It's not always about the person that's at the end. It's just watching everyone just hammer themselves to be the best they can be, I guess. So yeah, it's a great event. I love I love the Australia team. It's more of a team atmosphere. No one's the win's not as important as some of the other backyard ultras, I guess. So
yeah, I remember at the very end after you completed the 95th yard, like in the countdown to the start of the 96th, every single person there was watching your marquee, Ryan, to see if you were going to come out.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I think by that time, James, he was just mentioned before, checked out. Like, I'd snapped way earlier than that. It was a good probably 4 or 5 hours before that I just was on borrowed time. Like, I just had a gut full of it. I already accepted in myself that I was happy with what I did, and I was quite happy to just, I had nothing else to prove against myself at that time. I didn't care about trying to battle Phil or anything like that. I was just like, you know what, I'm done. That's good enough for today. And then that's, like I said, it just got to where we needed to get, and that was it.
Yeah.
So there's a funny story at the end of that one. So Ryan had actually been told a lap before that that was enough to beat the US. So he thought he comes in on 94. It must have been at the start of 95, and they're like, miscalculation. He needs to do one more. And none of his crew wanted to go in and tell him. They're like, James, can you go in and tell him he needs to do one more?
Yeah,
it was like going into the dragon's den.
Yeah, I was ready to kill a few times.
Yeah, it was. So I walked in and sat down, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm done." Look, nah, mate, you've got one more actually.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he wasn't too bad about it actually, but yeah, poor Ryan had to go out for one more.
Yeah.
But that's where it never ends, even it's like, as you get back, and that was 95, it's like, oh, you could just do one more, now we're starting to go into the night time. You never know, you could do something, and it's just like, I guess, what do you do? Like, depends on what you want, what you're trying to achieve. Sometimes it's just, you always wish when you're not suffering that you kept going. But at the time, sometimes when you reach certain levels, it just, you're broken. So there's always going to be a time when you're going to stop, regardless of whether it's health and something pulls you up or your mind or whatever. Eventually the game ends.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ryan, you've been in that Australian team. You're the only what person who's been in that Australian team from the start. So, how have you seen the evolution of the team? Like, because I was at Mirror in 22 to watch you guys run, and it seemed like the energy between all the runners was like so much better at the more recent Sat Champs.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I was talking about that. I'm thinking about that a few times lately, that, when it first began, like, I remember when I first did the first one at Clint Eastwood, I think it'd only been done maybe once before a Backyard Ultra, like it was when it just kind of come into Australia, and there was the setups, the things that people were doing, when there was nothing. Like, I just rocked up with a camp chair and an esky, and I thought, and Alan had the, communal gazebo thing, and I thought, sweet, just chill under that. And at that point, I'd never done 100 miles before. I pulled out of the BVRT one year and I only just 40K from the end. I thought, I just want to do 100 miles. So I rocked up to that and thought, sweet, I'll give this a go, this last one standing kind of race. And I just rocked up, thought, yep, go for 100 miles. And then, that's me. And that's what I did. I just pumped out 100 miles, easy, just run them all. Each lap, just doing me fast 35-minute laps kind of thing that I was doing for ages. And then just went home. And I remember just, back then there was some people that had a gazebo and stuff, but there was no setups. And then as it kind of, I watched it evolve, and like it just, and what it is today, like it just kept going and going. Like, people were rocking up with different setups, and you'd see people taking motorhomes to places, and they could park that on the outskirts. And even for me, for a while, and how I am a bit old school, like I still stayed ghetto kind of thing for so long, and it's like I'm still perfecting it compared to what some people do. And I just, I realized it's like any sport, you learn what other people have done and people start to build. And that's why it's going so deep now, because there's so much, like doing the podcast, there's so much advice out there. There's so much, strategies and things people can do to go further, whether it's your training, whether it's your gear, and, it's just growing and growing. And that's why where it's still seeing the world record keep getting broken, and it still will for a little bit. Like, obviously it'll plateau out and be hard to get over a certain number, but it's just people are just evolving and they're learning from it, each person, especially the, some of the top guys that are getting good numbers and seeing what they do. And like, look at the setups today. Like, you go in and then you realize that by making it more comfortable in your gazebos, the setups, it's actually allowing you to run further. And that's kind of what I've realized. And I try to explain to some of the people that have only just started, it makes a huge difference. Like, if you're rocking up to an event and it's pissing down rain or something and you don't have raincoats and things, like, these are all things that are going to break you, like, or make it a lot harder. And like, after you've been running for over 24 hours, it doesn't matter who you are, it's hard. So you don't want all these little elements that are going to trigger your mind and trigger things to make it uncomfortable to keep going. So I guess that's the kind of thing that you see and evolve. And yeah, the Australia team thing, like you were saying, like, I guess the one at Mirren Werner there was definitely, there was nowhere near the team thing like that. I guess people hadn't met each other, a lot of the runners, no one had really run together, but it was nowhere near the team atmosphere. That was kind of, I felt like, the WA crew had their little mates, and there was a few people that knew each other, have a few chats like that. But I guess there was definitely, it wasn't the push to try to, how far can Australia go? Like, people, I've heard people say that we're kind of still working a bit of a team on that one, but I didn't feel we were. I thought it kind of really tapered out to an individual thing, so to speak. It was, there was a little bit of help here and there, but it wasn't like what it evolved to over the last, ones and that, like, especially the one where we went to Perth there, like, that was huge. Like, that's why people got so far. It was team from the dot, like Sean was, like you said, what do we need? We had that board with the food, like, right, Rizza needs sushi. We need, all this stuff was going on. Like, it was just so helpful, the support. Like, people really wanted to see us work together. And you saw how, it played out. It really showed. And I think even next year again, it will be the same thing again. It'll be even bigger again. We'll be even stronger again,
Yeah. And so many people, like, I think that's one of the reasons why Australia are getting so good. There are these runners coming out from nowhere, like in nearly every race, and running huge races. And a lot of it's to do with wanting to make that Australian team. James, you've mentioned Jashi before, James. You guys ran with him at the Sat Champs. How much, like, inspiration does it give you seeing a guy like that just figure everything out and break 100 at Dead Cow Gully?
Yeah, it's easy in hindsight to say, but Jashi was my pick from Perth for the next guy to come up through. He pushed himself a long way in Perth, looking very broken.
Yeah, and
it was like, man, when he gets his house in order, he's going to be hard to stop. So it doesn't surprise me. But equally, like, some of the performances at that Sat Champs from guys that were pretty broken pretty early on, Dan, even Tim pushed hard for a long time.
Yeah.
So, it's inspirational to just be there and see all that happening. And, that applies to, going to Dead Cow and seeing people push themselves to their limits all the way through. It's inspiring for all of us. So, and it's a really interesting race to the Australian team for next year. I actually don't know what it's up to now, but I think you've got to run over 60.
Yeah, you've got to get a 62 win or assist, or a 63.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
That is crazy. So there's a couple of guys coming through that haven't done that yet, but I think potentially can, and they will have Backyard Ultra chances next year. So it'll be a really interesting team.
Yeah.
Plus, it'll be interesting to see who wins those silver tickets.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things that I think people really like about following you guys on social media is, like, you do these, like, 24-hour challenges. Do you have anything like that coming up before Bigs?
Well, we were talking we might do another Pomona mission, which is just hiking up and down a really steep hill
Yeah.
for 12 to 24 hours. You talk about your backyard ultra tips, and that would be one for me, for anyone, is to make training very hard. You need to break yourself in training. And I truly believe that. And every time I go to Ryan's and we do one of those 24 hours, like I actually do break. So the last one we did, it was an absolutely steaming hot day up at Gympie. And I just lost control of my heart rate. And I was like really early on, like in the first few hours. And got to the point where I think it was about hour 7 or 8. I went and had a cold shower, and then I came back and I tried to put down a gel and I spewed. So I ran outside of the gym and I was on all fours and I was spewing. And it was about 20 seconds before Ryan's belt whistle was about to go.
Yeah.
And he threw his shoes at me. And he's like, come on, let's go. And I missed the start of that. And then I got myself together and ran out like 5 minutes late. And then they saw me on the turnaround, Shannon and Ryan, and we high-fived. It was like, yeah, he's here. But then I sort of was behind the 8 ball, and I ran a couple more hours, but then I had to miss an hour. And I just had to lie there in the dark and cold in his gym and just reconfigure my heart rate and my body temp. And I got that done, and I had the hour off, and then I continued on, and I did the 24 hours. But you need to go through these situations where you are pushing your mind and your body to the absolute limit. And that's what I think, you definitely, it levels you up doing these hard things in training.
Yeah, and it sounds like the type of thing, like that type of situation, like you would actually draw on that, like when it's hard in a backyard ultra too.
Yeah, and I often thought like a nice variation on a backyard would be to give everyone an optional hour off.
Yeah.
So like, you could choose when you're nearly breaking, I'm going to have an hour off now. This is my hour. But I also thought, like, how hard would that be to turn around from that and get up again and go an hour later? Because you start to freeze up, you lose the momentum. But it was actually good for me that day. I managed to get back out there, and Ryan thought I was gone. He thought I wouldn't come back, but it was it helps, and you can draw upon that strength that you gain, and it's just using the mind as a muscle, going through, pushing, breaking, and then coming back, but knowing where your limits are and pushing into them.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. It has to be like that. That people always, you always listen to people. Oh, you got to be mentally tough, and you can read all the books, you can listen to all the stuff you want to hear with people telling you how to do it. But there's no shortcut. Like, you have to do it yourself. You have to have suffered. You have to keep pushing. Otherwise, you're never going to get stronger. You just got to find your own, and everyone's different. And unless you're suffering and getting used to your own demons and getting used to trying to push through your own boundaries, you'll never reach that next level. So that's why we do them.
Yeah. Awesome. So I was thinking it might be something just so people know you a little bit better, just to hear a little bit about your background. So, I know Ryan, you used to actually be a Muay Thai fighter. Was there a specific race or moment you remember that made you realize that ultra running was the direction you wanted to take rather than competing in Muay Thai?
Well, I guess I still do Muay Thai, and I do run the gym, and that's definitely where the mindset started. And that, the same we were just talking about. You got to, by getting in hard situations, when I'd be facing opponents, like real tough situations, your mind's like it's so daunting and everything's so challenging. And by persevering and getting through those moments, it just keeps making you stronger and stronger. And I was always, as the years went on, like, you're always searching, thinking, I wonder what else you could do, because, there's not massive amounts of money in the Muay Thai fight, and even, at the professional level. So you're always working in between. And I guess towards the end of my fighting and that, I always looking for something different, and I found the running, and I guess it just become another mental challenge, and I guess I fell in love with that. A lot of people know that story like that, and I just fell in, love with the new challenge of pushing the mind in a different way, not fighting against someone else, and it was just against myself more, so to speak. But I found another level of, toughness in that, which was something different that I hadn't experienced. And I guess using the lifetime that I had with the martial arts, with fighting and that, like, that's definitely been a major aspect for me within getting through tough times. And I've just slowly started building on them, and I just now just enjoy that challenge of, the pushing of the running. And I guess more so for me, with the why I enjoy the running more, I just try to destroy that, the ego of always having to be the winner, so to speak. And that's still a challenging thing. You always got expectations on yourself to what you want to achieve. But I find the ultra running for me gives me a different platform that I can search more inside and just, keep trying to show up and be the best version I can be. And it's not about trying to beat anyone else, but just keep pushing those boundaries about how far can I go. And, even now, I still don't even know. I still don't believe I've even scratched the surface, and the universe directs you as it does. Like, who knows where we'll go in the next couple of years and what challenges we'll be facing. But and the community, obviously, in ultra running is completely different to the community in fighting the Muay Thai. So that's, it's just different kind of things. But, for me, I just love the community and, the challenge of, outdoors. I love the races that I do, and, the people that I've met. And at the moment, it's just been such a positive thing. And I don't know exactly which direction it will end, as we're all still writing our own journeys and chapters, but we'll see. So.
Yeah. What was your actual record in Muay Thai, and were you like living in Thailand and stuff like that as well?
No, I actually never made it to Thailand. Every single person from my gym went there, and
Yeah.
I like my trainer's son, which was the top fighter in the gym. They had all been there multiple times, but they all, because they'd done training camps over there, they had all, bring all the same training back. Same thing like we're talking about with races. Everyone learns and adapts, and they bring over the same training system. So I really didn't need to go to Thailand. Obviously, it would have been a great experience, but just how I was back then, I just never put the money together to save to do it. Um, I had 24 fights, 20 wins. I won the WBC state championship belt. I defended that twice. So I got two of those belts. I'd been a WKBF Australian champion, WMC Muay Thai state champion. And those, the two belts, the WMC and the WBC belts, they're really sought after, like the good sanctionings in Muay Thai. So they were proud achievements for me. Like, that just to know that I actually got some good, decent, and all my fights were tough. That's one thing with our gym, and that's why I am how I am, so hard. Like, in that, like, we were always been renowned for really hard fights. So I never had an easy fight. I don't think, maybe one or two that I managed to get a good shot in and stop the opponent, but majority of my fights went the distance. I only had like maybe 3 or 4 stoppages where I, got the TKO on them and stuff like that. And the rest were absolute wars. And so, like, to get through those moments when, you're still unsure if you're winning the fight and you just keep pushing and trying to just get another punch in, another kick, like, I'd leave those, just absolutely put everything out there and not having, one bit of energy left, and just be so cooked. And, that just made me so strong, I guess. And I think the mental aspect, like, just knowing that it's not light running, like, as in, like, you can really get hurt out there. One wrong move with your hand down, they'll elbow you straight in the head or kick you in the face. Like, it's real. So I think when I got through those challenges of facing those hard opponents, like, you realise, oh, I got through it. It wasn't as bad as the perceived thing I created in my mind on how hard or bad it was going to be. But it also, getting through those challenges is what made me so tough, I guess. So. Yeah, there's so many aspects I could talk all day long with that kind of thing, but yeah.
You mentioned before a little bit about like not being much prize money in backyard ultras, and there wasn't much in Muay Thai either. But like you did mention, like you did some pretty good stuff in Muay Thai. So was there much money in it at all?
Well, there's more money in. I was actually surprised because I thought Muay Thai was a broke sport kind of thing, but I was actually more money in Muay Thai than there is in ultra running.
Yeah.
Like I was at least getting paid when I was fighting, and that automatically you want to get me on the show, whatever. If you're flying somewhere or whatever, they pay for everything, accommodation straight up. Like they're starting to do that now when promoters want to get you in the ultra race and things like that, but you're still paying to go in events and stuff. I'm lucky I get some support with Wild Earth and, sponsors and things like that. But, you got to pay them to go in. I'm used to at least getting paid. And even some of the events that they've got these days with the ultras, you can be some of the best athletes in the world and you're still getting paid like nothing for a win. And I don't know, I guess it's slowly growing and we're starting to see it now with a bit more I think there should be a lot more money if you're winning top events because it's not, you don't have to be a rocket science. You work out how much money they're making off each athlete signing up for a race with 300 people in it. They've got some money there, so I think they should be paying the winners a little bit of money. So yeah, there's not huge money in Muay Thai though, but you still get at least a couple of grand a fight. Depends on what fight it is and how you're experienced, I guess. And there's the more experience, and if you get into big organizations, you can obviously get more money, but there's still not, that many organizations that pay a lot of money.
Yeah. So James, I noticed on Facebook there were it looks like you've got an interesting past. Like there's photos of you playing guitar and like didgeridoo. So you're a bit of a muso in your spare time. You're also a DJ too.
You're going deep into the Facebook research. Yeah, I've always been involved in music. I was having a good chat with Tim Moffat out there at Dead Cow because he's done he's like a music producer and we use the same software. So yeah, I just do it as a hobby. I've always played the didgeridoo. I met an Aboriginal guy in Manly when I was down there I used to be at North Stain Surf Club. And I was a bit of a beach sprinter down there as well. But yeah, I had some initial lessons on the didge, and I've got about 3 didgeridoos and play them, and I can get my way around music software and record and things like that. So yeah, I have a bit of fun with that. But yeah, my background in running is I was a sprinter. So at school, I was a very good schoolboy 100-meter and 200-meter runner. So I still got school records back at my old school. And then developed into a 400-meter runner in my early 20s. And I got a PB of 48.02 in the 400. And that was probably, at the time, was sort of knocking on the doorstep of Australian teams and things like that. So I was probably top 10 in Australia for the 400 at one point. And then I started to get into the pro running. So I've run the Store Gift 3 times. I've got a PB there of 12:29, which I didn't realize how good that was at the time I ran it. But because I never made the Monday. So yeah, look, I probably, like Ryan, that was my really competitive time. I just wanted to win at all costs, and training was really hard, and you're pushing yourself to the edge all the time. And I kind of blew out. I think my mentality was always to have perfect sessions and continually improve. And when I look back on that, it's not a sustainable approach. And it's only been since I've got to these backyard ultras and the ultra running where I wasn't even competitive at ultra running to start with. I was back of the pack, mid pack, and I kind of liked it. I was just running around the bush. It felt like my childhood again. And as you knew, I grew up in St Ives, and we went back to Sydney's backyard at St Ives, the backyard ultra there, and at St Ives Showground. And yeah, that was just like a homecoming for me, and I loved just running around the trails. And yeah, I just was able to bring a much healthier training mindset to these ultras, and then just suddenly started sort of improving as well. And it's interesting, yeah. But I do have that really competitive background, but I don't quite bring the same mindset at the moment to these. I sort of have a much more relaxed, cruisy approach, and it seems to work still.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the nature of running loops, like laps on tracks, and what I did as a kid, and the strength work as well, has definitely put me in a very strong place mentally and physically still to this day.
Yeah, excellent. I guess with backyard ultras, like it's good to be like nice and relaxed, and if you're too switched on, like that uses up energy, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's a funny one. It's not like a fight where you've got two fighters and the trash talk beforehand, and then they get to the event. But luckily, the event only goes for a few minutes sometimes, so it's like this peak,
Yeah.
and then it's over. But yeah, with a backyard ultra, if there's too much trash talk or anything beforehand, then you sort of like the bell goes and you're running out at like 8 minute K pace. You're next to each other. We've got like 4 days to chat. It's just not the same. So
Yeah.
yeah, I find it
You don't
funny
have
in
that
that way. But
competitiveness as like start to
no,
finish races, like because if you
yeah,
line up the start and finish race, you always got that right. The gun goes and people are pushing to get to the podium or get to the next checkpoint. Whereas the backyard ultra, like yeah, you can go fast, whatever, but you're not going anywhere. It doesn't even begin for like days or at least hours and hours worth. So you can just chill right out and just go through the motions.
Yeah.
and when it does get to the point where the race starts, it's so internal. Like you're really pushing yourself from an internal place when it really starts to hurt. I honestly don't think you're too worried about anyone else.
Yeah, because you're
Uh,
already cooked. You've been running for
yeah,
long.
yeah, yeah.
So I put out a question thing on Instagram to see if anyone had any questions. Before I ask them though, let's just talk a little bit about the podcast. So there'll be 3 more episodes, and like you mentioned, so you'll do one in September, one in October before Bigs, and one after Bigs, which
Yep.
might be towards the end of October. Um, I know it's going to be awesome, and you did touch on it before. Like, what can people expect? Have you organised any guests or anything like that? And by the way, who have you got crewing for you and going over to Bigs with you?
So I'll start with the crew. So I've got my partner Kitty. Yeah, there's limitations on what crew there, and I think Laz this year is talking about you can swap out, but there's times where you can do the transition. So yeah, I think it's just easier to have the one crew. And yeah, I'll let Ryan talk about his crew, but yeah, so I've got Kitty.
Yeah, I've got Shannon, who has been amazing helping me lately. So we've become, she knows me well now. So I'm glad that I've managed to get someone that's been consistently helping me. So at this stage, it's all locked in that she's going to be able to come and help me. So that's going to be amazing for me to have someone that I already know. So
Yeah, unreal. And yeah, so I probably asked too many questions in one. um, so yeah, as far as the podcast goes, like, is there anything that you've locked in as far as guests go, or anything like that?
So we will get a guest. We won't announce it here,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll have at least one, if not two, guests. One might be a coach, and then yeah, another runner.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be someone going, obviously, that they can talk about their prep and that as well. So yeah, keep that under wraps for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said earlier, it's going to be we'll open up, we'll be quite vulnerable in there about how we approach the training, what challenges we have at the moment, what we're thinking in terms of strategy across everything, and yeah, hopefully it's going to be really valuable to people that are either going into their first back ultra or trying to level up, or if you want to know more about what it's like to run a Bigs.
Yeah, cool. And I think it will also give people even something more exciting. Like it, listening to a podcast with you guys on it will give people something even more interest going into Bigs as well, because they'll feel like they know you a bit more as well.
Yeah, yeah, and look, I've got challenges at the moment. So I had surgery on my left foot on like 18th of July, and it hasn't sort of recovered as well as I would have liked it, or as quickly. So yeah, I'm working with a podiatrist. I've still got the specialist. I do mindset work I'm just getting full bloods done as well, so I'm going to be able to share those results with the Patreon. And so everything that we do, we'll lay it out, and even just the travel stuff, where we're staying, how that works. It's all the behind the scenes stuff we'll expose.
Yeah, unreal. So let's see. So listen to questions. Here's the first one. James, do you have any tattoos, or are you a clean skin?
No, I'm clean skin. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've always thought about it, and I follow a few tattoo artists that I really like, but I've never made the jump. So I was actually thinking I might get something to do with Biggs after this one, depending on how it goes. But we'll see.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and you've obviously got a few, Ryan.
Yeah, I've always been, enjoyed artwork and drawing, and as a kid, and I've always been quite into that kind of stuff. And mine have been I've been wanting to do way more over the years, but it just unfortunately they're expensive. So I've just other commitments and things come in that just they're not priorities. So yeah, I've got a fair few though. I've even tattooed myself multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was only something I just learned about Ryan, that he's actually tattooed himself.
Yeah.
And then I thought I'd stop because I'm going to start looking like Chopper Reed or something.
Next question. So this one's a funny one. Ryan, are you going to go full white Kenyan at Biggs on Loop 22, or will you wear a tutu?
Oh, yeah. Everyone knows me about that. No, I'll be wearing my skull mask, I think, so I'll definitely take it. I always take that anyway because they're good for cold weather. That's usually why I pack them as well, because if it gets really bad, they're like full. I've got some new ones, like full face balaclavas. But yeah, with the tutu, mate, you can basically set them on fire for me because, yeah, that's just not me. Like, I don't care. Everyone can do what they want, but yeah, there will never be a day you see me wearing one of them, that's for sure.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hello, we've got that picture of you with the tutu and the skull mask on.
Yeah,
yeah, right. trying to have one foot in both camps.
Yeah. each to their own.
What about you, James? Like, can we expect you to ever wear a tutu, or
I don't really care. Like, honestly, if someone just handed me it and I would put it on, I don't care. But I can't remember where it was. I think it was at
They were trying to get you at Perth to wear it.
Yeah, I think it's Sat Champs. Someone was going to give me one, but it just didn't happen, and I just ended up running out and wearing nothing. So yeah, I don't know. I don't care. I'll wear one, but maybe I'll wear a skull cap. Yeah. 22 at Biggs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if it's dusty, like those things will come in handy anyway.
Yeah, yeah. And at Biggs, it's hot and dusty out there, and I know like later on in the race we all had bleeding nose at some point.
It did get cold too on a few times.
It's cold at night,
and
it's hot in the day, and it's really dusty. So yeah, might be good. Might have that mask handy.
Yeah, cool. So James, what's one thing you've learned from Ryan as far as backyard ultras go?
Get some sleep.
Organize your equipment before the race.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, like Ryan, when we got to Tennessee, and he got there a bit later than me, and he was still jet lagged, so he'd get up really early. We did one morning, and he'd gone to Walmart already, and then you've got that video footage of him walking back down almost a highway with his trolley, and he could only do one trolley at a time. He didn't have a cast. So he'd get a whole heap of equipment and then walk the trolley back to the house, and oh man. Yeah, it's like don't do too much walking before a backyard ultra. But the thing I've learned from Ryan, and it sticks in my mind, he's got this approach to training that is just like the motivation is so deep and inbuilt into his system. And I don't know what it would have been on one of our 24-hour missions, and I would have been complaining halfway or whatever. but he just turned around to me and he said, "You know what needs to be done." And it's like, that sums it all up for me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what needs to be done. You know what we're here, what we need to do to prepare. And honestly, you either do or you don't know. And Ryan knows.
Yeah, awesome. And what about you, Ryan? What's one thing you've learned from Jimmy B as far as backyard ultras go?
Look after your bloody feet, that's for sure. I know that he has, he sweats. Everyone's different. He sweats more with his feet and stuff like that. So I guess that's definitely foot care and stuff. I've noticed. Yeah, if they get bad blisters and stuff, bloody hell, they could chat. Like, I've never had them like he had them. Has had issues with his feet, but that's definitely something. Bloody hell, you got to make sure you keep on top of that, because that can turn your feet you're running on the whole time too. So that's definitely an important aspect in, I guess, the physical side of things. But James is the same, like, is what he get. I love seeing his mindset, and, we both feed off each other, and it's good just to see another strong athlete and another person who has those same like-minded values. That's why we get along so well. He's not a hero. He's not full of ego. He's not trying to, be better than me. He loves pushing against himself, and we've both got similar humor. Like, we're so different. If you actually look at both of us, we're so different apart, but yet we still bloody get along so well. His preparation, I admire. I admire that he's a bit more switched on with that. So I'm really starting to learn now. It's and seeing other people, that's probably my element of downfall. I've always been a bit haphazard, like, as in, she'll be right. But now I've realised that, if I want to be the best and, of myself and keep pushing above, the people that are getting those results are really more prepared, and I don't do that. And so, like, half the time I'm whipping stuff together like 1 or 2 days before the event, which is madness. So, the preparation, there's multiple things, but yeah, just another good bloke, man. And, I appreciate the friendship that we've built. So it's something that'll be there forever.
Yeah, awesome. How have you learned to manage the inevitable pain, James?
Oh, I remember lying there at Clint Eastwood in one of them, probably the one where we ran 72, and I was trying to get some sleep, and I was lying down, and I got the crew to lift my feet up, so to elevate them while I was lying, because I just couldn't. The pulsing pain through my entire body was just insane, and it was too much that I couldn't sleep. And I've just learned to breathe through it and sit with it. I think when you have pain, the natural human condition is to try and reject it, try to push it away.
Yeah.
And I think you just actually have to dig into it and sit with it and try not to move it. And what I find with pain is, well, I mean, we all know it's coming. So if it comes on early, it comes on early. There was one, that Clint Eastwood where we did 72, I came back in at the first loop and said to the crew, my Achilles is hurting. It's really hurting. And it's not a matter of, let's all panic and it's only hour one. It's just straight into process. It's like, all right, let's just try changing the shoe next loop. And I was icing it straight away. I'm not sure I'm 100% on icing everything, but we did that day and it kind of worked. It was just a matter of the shoe change, actually. And Clint Eastwood's quite a hard track. So yeah, there's certain things where you the pain's coming. Don't try to push it away. Learn to sit with it, and you can breathe through a lot of things. So I always go back to my breathing. If I'm lying there and I can't sleep, I just breathe. And you just learn over time how to deal and run with pain. And I think that's it. It comes with experience, and it comes with those really tough training sessions as well.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, same as, I guess, what James has said. Like, there's no, like, and I always say there's no shortcuts. You got to get used to everyone's different. Everyone feels pain. Pain's pain, but everyone feels it at different times. Everyone's got different strategies to get through it. But it is what it is. Like, of course, if you're running for, a couple of days or a long time, you're going to get pain. It's the same with the Muay Thai. You kick someone and you hit them straight in the kneecap and they check your kick. Like, it hurts. Like, you know why you're there. You know what you're trying to achieve. Like, it's just like that, it is inevitable. Like the question was asking, like, I don't think there's any way around that. I think it's just trying to find strategies within yourself to deal with it, to not use that as an excuse why you stop. Like, and you just got to get used to that suffer fest and try to figure out your own strategies to get through it. And that usually comes from conditioning. If you haven't felt pain before, you're obviously going to be fit, have trouble getting through that a lot more than me, because I'm in pain every day. Like, every time you train hard, push your body, there's a level of pain to a degree. So yeah, that's pretty, obviously you can do things like if something was, you got some really bad niggle, you could probably try have a Panadol or something like that to maybe see if it levels out for that lap or something like that. But at the end of the day, when you're in real, real pain, there's nothing like that. The Panadols, they don't even work anyway. So it's basically trying to shut it out your mind. Like James said, the breathing, meditation, all things that just, I'm really big into, like, these days, sound healing and frequencies. I find that kind of stuff can really drift you into like that meditative state and try to just release negative energies and things like that. So yeah, it just takes experience and practice, really.
Yeah, cool. Ryan, will you be doing Greenvale Backyard Ultra again this year?
Yeah, no, I'm already going. I've already committed to that. No, the promoter, I know him well. He's been a great new mate that I've kind of, since I went last year and that. So yeah, that's all locked in for the end of the year. And I'm going to try to bring the family over this time and do a couple of day, do the couple of day race. And then, after that, hopefully get a couple of days at Cradle Mountain with the family. That's the goal. Like, I'm not there yet. So one mission at a time. I have me goals and plans, but, like I say, the universe can change. But at this stage, I'm 100% going.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it looks like a really nice place.
Yeah, it's a tough course. It's real tough because it's an old sheep farm.
Yeah.
They do a lot of that on there, and it's. I don't actually. I think they still do it on there here and there in between the race, but it's just all the ground has been like chomped, like, as in it's got heaps of divots in it, so it's really tough on the ankles, and it's just like up and down grassy hill kind of thing. So there's a fair bit of elevation in it. You're either going up or down kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's all open, exposed too, so you're in the sun the whole day. Like, there's not one tree. The only tree there was when you kind of come into the start line, there was a bit of shade as you went around a bend for like 20 meters or something, but there's no actual shade. So you're exposed to the elements. It's close to the water, the wind, and yeah, and I guess, like, I only just found out when I did my study to go to Tasmania, because I'd never been there before. It's like the highest place apparently in Australia, whatever, the UV. So it's actually quite glare, like, as in, if you might not think, oh, it's not that hot, but if you're not putting the sun cream and things like on, you just get fried. So I made sure I did all that. But yeah, it's just really exposed, and yeah, I love Tasmania. That's why I definitely want to go back. And this time I want to try to get the family there and that, so they can have a couple of days. And it's
Yeah, cool. So the next question I wasn't going to ask, but I think I might, because you've both mentioned breathing. So the other asked, do you breathe through your snoz or in through your snoz and out through your mouth? Basically, I think they're asking, like, what breathing techniques do you use to get through stuff? Yeah.
This is a good question, and we've talked about this before, because out of the last bigs, it became apparent that Ehor was a nose breather, and when you're in those situations of dusty, hot, sort of dry conditions, it was definitely, I think that hugely advantaged him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think both of us do try. Especially, you just got to trial it in training, and you can even use those nasal strips to try and help. But yeah, the more that you can just be aware of just closing the mouth and nasal breathing and how that feels in your running, it is quite difficult to start with. But yeah, there's an element of, if you can just have some percentage of the run, even in bigs, if it's just part of that trail run, yeah, I think it's definitely, I think it's
we should
definitely
all be
helps.
breathing through the nose in general. Like,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be mouth breathing at all. But I'm probably the worst for it. I constantly keep trying to do it too. But I've actually got as you know, James would know. But I got that broken, or one of my canals is blocked from fighting, from getting it snapped, and I always have trouble breathing through at night. So those nose strips, like James said, I bought some of them, and at night I can clip them on with that magnetic strip, and that does help. But yeah, it's definitely important to try to breathe through your nose as much as possible. I know another element when I was fighting is when you go back to your corner, if you're taking those big deep breaths in through the nose and then you're exhaling through the mouth, it actually helps you recover quicker. And I used to hold your hands above your head, and that would help you recover quicker in between the rounds. So yeah, breathing is definitely a major thing to work on with meditation, as well as your recovery rate.
Yeah, even if you just get back into your bed in your tent during the loops and you do a 4-4 breath or something like that,
Yeah,
you breathe in through your nose for sure.
Yeah.
I used to do hot yoga, like Bikram yoga, and it's 90 minutes in a 44-degree room with 100% humidity, and they will always say, don't, like, keep your mouth closed. And what happens is you end up not getting thirsty. So it's a really interesting thing, but it's like elite level is to keep the mouth closed, breathe through the nose. And I practice it in the sauna as well. So always sit in there and just practice nose breathing.
Excellent.
And it does help you go into that meditative state. If you're, say, your mind, you get that monkey mind, this is with the meditation, and you start, because everyone thinks, but the way to help with meditation is if you can concentrate on the breath, you'll actually find yourself more thinking and focusing on the breath. And then all of a sudden you realize you're not thinking of stuff anymore. Like, you're more concentrating, right? Like Jane said, the 4 breaths in, 3 out. And next thing you know, you're getting into that state. Whereas if you're not thinking about the breath at all, it's easy to think about, oh yeah, what am I doing for dinner? What's coming up? And you get sidetracked. But if you've got some other system in place to get you into that state of meditation, and that's where the breathing is 100% necessary for meditation, for sure.
Yeah, unreal. Last question. Does Ryan always pick the music on light loops, or does Jimmy get to pick as well?
I just play through my phone. There's no rules. A couple of times there, I've said to people because I've only got a select playlist that I pump all the time to the gym, and I even get sick of it all. And I blast people with music I know half of the people around me hate. But that's if anyone's running with me continuously, like James has done it before. He's chucked on his playlist. So yeah, it all depends on who I'm with.
Ryan starts with Slim Shady and sets the tone that way. See who's going to run along with him.
Yeah, most people disappear.
There was one night at Clint Eastwood when we were running with Jalna, and we were playing we were using my SoundCloud, which is all like, DJ sets and stuff. So there was some deep house stuff going on out there. That was a really cool night, actually. We literally listened to music for 12 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's usually Ryan, I think.
The speaker's good because you can still talk, whereas I find as soon as you go to earphones, you become antisocial with people. So I even did it at the Clint Eastwood at relatively early. Sometimes I do it at night. I even sometimes play it during the day. But if I actually want to still be engaging with people, I like to have the speaker. It's not so everyone, listen to my music. Because then I can pump the tunes. But then if you pull up next to me and start talking to me, I don't have to be like, press pause on me, and you just when you got your earphones on, you're basically putting that persona out there, like, don't talk to me, I'm just in my own zone. Whereas like, if you don't have it on, people can just come and chat to you, but you can still, if you say you're on your own, you can listen to music too.
Yeah, cool. Well, that was awesome, guys. I can't wait to listen to your podcast in a few weeks, I guess. So we'll definitely plug it on social media and make sure everyone knows where to find it. But yeah, like I said, this one will be free on all my normal channels as well as the Patreon.
Yeah, thanks for setting this up. It's really appreciated, the effort you're going to just to help supporters get there, because I know, people already have been helping towards getting me there, and everyone's got their own, financial stuff, but it is such a big expense. Like I was just adding it up roughly in my brain. Like, you're talking like when you're saying like 3-4 grand just to get there in at flights, you lose a couple of weeks of work. It's a massive expense. Like you're easily doing a 10-12 grand mission just to make it happen. And, just to have the community and people behind you that can help, it means a lot to me and James. I know that's for sure. And, it's appreciate just you going out of your way to try to make this happen to help, get a little bit extra to help us. So thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, thanks, Otto. And it's heating up too. The at-large list now, we have 57 runners accepted and registered, which is 76% of the field, 75. And we're down to 76 yards.
Yeah.
So Jen Rosso is about to be in there, I think.
Yeah, that'll be
pretty
good.
cool. And then you've got Aaron Young and Dan Kamak will probably qualify if they want to go.
Yeah. How good was Jen Russo at Dead Cow Gully? I loved that performance.
It was amazing.
I loved how nearly everyone when they finished they got picked up off the course from in Tim's car, but I liked how she just said, "Nah, I'm finishing this loop," and she just walked the whole way in.
Yeah, that'll be one of my forever backyard memories of that third night, getting the chance. But it was with Jen and Harvey and Mitchie.
Yeah,
it was the remnants of the bus from the previous night.
Yeah.
But it was amazing memory, and she's such a strong runner and just a pocket rocket, huh? Amazing. So it'd be great to see her at Bigs. I think she wanted to go, so it looks like she's going to get there.
Yeah, cool. Well, look, all the best at Bigs. I'm so excited to watch you guys in action, and so all the best again, and we'll definitely be in touch over the journey.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
No worries.